Hi guys, this is Sam from Fluid Social here in front of Westminster. We've got the pigs here to our left and the Brexit protesters and those falling against the European Union. Today what I want to talk about is how the Joker film has touched a nerve in the UK and maybe how it is reflective of what's going on with the men in our society right now. How does that film mirror what we're seeing here down on the ground and particularly within the dating coaching industry right now? So let's look at that film. The film basically surrounds around the Joker and his descent into madness and into utter despair and loneliness. And throughout the film you see him as a man that didn't have close social connections, he didn't have friends, and spoiler alert, he had the illusory girlfriend, the illusory woman that he pretended he was seeing because he was actually deeply lonely and he had no female attention in his life. People were chastising him, he was bullied, he was beaten up, he was pegged down by society, and he really didn't see a way out of it until he hit rock bottom. He wanted to reject the whole system, and so he descended into madness and went very far the other way and started killing people. Now this isn't entirely unknown to us in real life, and I think perhaps why the critics were so harsh on this film is because it shows a dangerously realistic perspective of what happens when men are forced down, when men are thrusted down into the depths of society where they don't have a voice, where it's impossible for them to communicate and socialize with the people that they want to be meeting. Just look at the case of Elliot Rodger, the mass murderer in America. He was a lonely guy. He was one of the incel community's most vocal advocates, and from his lack of communication, from being bullied at school, from having no social connections in his life, he basically just gave up on everything, and he then went out and murdered numerous people at the school. And the media again picks up on that, and they blame this community of people called incels for encouraging this sort of hateful behavior. But just the same way as in the Joker movie, when people try and blame him for being the guy that did all of that stuff, but they never look for the reason why he did it. What was his descent? What were the reasons why that man felt he needed to take those actions? Only when you actually look at those reasons and you actually figure out what was the scale, what was the narrative leading up to those dramatic actions, do you see that actually he was a lonely guy that with a little bit of love, connection and support wouldn't have felt the need to take all of his anguish and all of his strife out on society. So I want to open up a conversation here about how we can reach out to the people that need it the most, the voices of the people that are feeling tempted to do something radical, that aren't getting the social attention, the communication and the love that they need. Why are we blaming those people rather than seeking to help them? Why is the media so happy to chastise them without maybe looking at some of the reasons and some of the evidence as to why they would be taking those decisions? I think this is why that film was received so negatively by many critics, because they don't want to look at the reasons why. They don't want to look at men and think, actually, are there men without a voice? Are there people being beaten down that don't really have much of an outlet for their anger or for the fact that they don't have social connections? The media isn't trying to look at why these people are feeling the way they are. They're just trying to say that they're bad. They're trying to create this black and white dichotomy of good and evil. Criminals are bad, people that do good are good, and leave it at that because it's what sells. It's what people get riled up about and it sells the newspapers. But really, we should be reaching out to the people that are in need. We should be trying to help in whatever way we can the people that feel they need to take these radical actions. So for the month of November, I'm going to be offering free 20 minutes of coaching, but it's not going to be dating coaching, it's not going to be social skills coaching, it's just going to be for anybody that feels that they want to talk about this. If you feel like you have a deep sense of loneliness, or you feel like you're on the edge, or you feel like people aren't listening to you, and you want to talk about the way that you're feeling, you can talk to me about that free of charge for 20 minutes. That applies to absolutely anyone and everyone. I'm going to make that time for you because I think there's a lot of people that haven't been heard, whose voices have been suppressed and crushed, and I've got a willing pair of ears here. So if you want to talk about anything, I'm not a licensed therapist, I don't know anything about that, but I want to help. I think there's a real problem going on today. I think a lot of people are in pain, and I think as guys we all understand it. We've all been there to some extent, but if you are feeling like that, then just get in contact with me and we'll set up a free call and I'll talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. So yeah, enjoy that, fellas. See you in the next video. Sam out.